Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and joining us here tonight in the studio to shed more light on the Upper Egyptian development projects this week. We're joined by Dr. Nezar Sami, the Design and Innovation and Technology Consultant. Dr. Sami, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation, Hani, and good evening.
Good evening, sir. Dr. Sami, now, first of all, we've been talking the whole week about the development projects taking place and the inaugurations taking place in Luxor, Aswan, Upper Egypt in general. Now, if we're focusing on the Kima 2 fertilizers factory that was inaugurated today, what is expected from this factory in terms of developing the agricultural sector? It has been working and it has been producing, but there is a renovation to it. There is a new a facelift in terms of design, in terms of energy use, in terms of production. What are we expecting for this factory to do in the agricultural sector for Upper Egypt?
Thank you very much for the introduction, as well as raising such an important topic about the agribusiness and how this is important to each and every part in Egypt and the lives of all the Egyptians. Let me take you through the journey. And the journey actually started 7 years ago, more than this. We started to planting values or creating values, okay? And right now we started to harvest the value for each and every person. And right now, when we look to the map of Egypt, there was a great emphasis and a great support for each and every part in Egypt, in place. We witnessed and we saw His Excellency the President visiting Kafr Sheikh and inaugurating and visiting the School of Artificial Intelligence. So Upper Egypt is no more disconnected from the local development in Egypt. And we recall His Excellency the President, when he was elected, he mentioned that he is going to develop in a parallel track, and he did like that with his fingers, parallel projects in every place in the country. And people were not, they were questioning how this will going to happen in this. And right now, by the end of 2021, we are celebrating the end of 2021, and we witnessed a lot of key success projects in that area. 1 month ago, we were in the era of the COP26, which is the global climate conference. And as you know, that Egypt is hosting this year, or the coming year, 2022, this conference in Sharm el-Sheikh, in November, Sharm el-Sheikh. So the president always gives the message of leading by example. So we need to be the role model in doing everything. So part of this, the Kima factory project, and we saw in the report that it was not operating as it should be in terms of pollution or contamination or exceeding the limits in that. And right now, in order to move to the next era, which is the climate friendly, and you need to abide with the international standards and to be a role model, because you want to create a competitive economy in the world, so you need to know how to play the game. This is the key point. Having a vision and knowing how to play the game, these are the key important parts we need to talk about. So when we started to thinking of the new greening areas and new facilitation of like the 2 million acre project for crops, and you know that Egypt is right now ranked #1 in many of the plants in the world. So in order to support this, we need to create the fertilizer component. So this is the value chain creation. So, and we need, where it was that factory? It's in Upper Egypt, mainly in Aswan, near to the access to resources. And this is a key message His Excellency always giving to all the business people and the industry people. Please add value to whatever main or mineral resources that we have. We don't need to export just raw materials. We need to export finished products, because this will raise the value of it, and this will generate more and more jobs, creating prosperity, as well as returning back to the money. So the renovation, matching the international standards, in this type of in the factory. The same thing, the number of productions and the volume of production as well. And we witnessed the inauguration of the Toshka project as well, and see the farms and new areas. So all these parts are essentially fed by fertilizers and all of those type of needed raw material, or needed chemicals, in order to have like a decent crops or decent farming process at large. Therefore, it was a mandate that to start this again. So always the government goes to the challenging part in the whole story. Where are the difficulties? So they should take part in that, and they should resolve all these complexities and come up with the decent lives, or Haya Karima. And the role model of Haya Karima, actually, or decent life, started from Aswan, and we saw that like El Marajda in Qina per se, and also the new Aswan city. And if you recall back with the flooding came to Aswan, and His Excellency visited some sort of these villages. And right now, after 2 weeks, there was an inauguration of the new Aswan city project as well. So you can see leading by example is the key in that partition, and in this part of the story, how we put things together in a very seamless way in order to create wealth and prosperity for the Egyptian society and the Egyptian well-being.
Well, the new factory, the Kima 2 factory, as you've said, it's been transformed into being fueled by natural gas. And also the factory used to dispose a lot of wastewater into the Nile River, which was harmful for the residents and the environment as well. Now, how did this renovation process deal with such a problem, dealing with the wastewater going into the Nile River?
Definitely. Aside from getting into the complexities of this type of engineering and chemical things, depending on the renewable resources for energy, recycling of the industrial waste is one of the important part. Introducing new elements of technological components in that is in place as well. So there are some technical considerations which was already implemented in such projects to make it like eco-friendly and to match the international standards, and also taking care of the water, because as you mentioned, all the disposal coming to the Nile, this is it's a question mark. We need to revisit it again, and that was happened already with the new baseline of the new project. Depending on more renewable resources of energy availing, and we know the Binban project is now the largest farm of solar energy in the world. So depending on multiple resources for the energy, for emissions, carbon emissions as well, set of smart filters, some sort of sensors, and this is what we call the new the industry revolution, the fourth industry revolution, how we introduce technological and sensors and automated systems in order to operate. And this is again was introduced. So about of this type of filters, different type of filters for different emissions, cleaning and cleansing and recycling of the industrial waste coming out of that, and then put it into a new value chain that will re-inject it back to the industry, so we can ensure what we call about sustainability, and how to make it more sustainable, more cost efficient, and then environmental friendly.
Yes. Well, the Kima 2 factory is producing, or should be producing, about 1,200 tons of urea and ammonia. Now, the fertilizers being produced by such a factory, will it be just self-sufficient for the agricultural sector here in Egypt, that also includes, as you've mentioned, the Toshka project, or will we have actually more of an excess as well in production that would help the exportation process?
Fantastic. Let's call back again. I'd love to relate everything to its basics and roots, which is the Egypt Vision 2030, that we have competitive economy, diversified, based in innovation and knowledge. So competitive, then we are competing with the whole globe, whole countries. Yes. Diversified economy, so we are putting more than one revenue streams in that, based on innovation and then knowledge for more better life for Egyptian and Egyptian well-being. So therefore, this is just the start of the project. Okay. Definitely, when we go for the issue of designing factories and all of these things, we have element we call the capacity planning and the demand management. Okay, and right now we are thinking of going global, because you need to fulfill the inside and then go to outside. But when you start to plan for new projects, you have to set your vision up front. So the capacities and the establishment on the infrastructure ready for such a factory will be or is already equipped to prepare for the future. So we'll start with satisfying the local demand in the first place, and then for some specific orders per se, we can share that with the exporting models and free trade models, for instance, in Africa, in the GCC market as well. Maybe we can export even in different other countries as well, in Europe or in Asia in particular position. So the core is there, the potential. That's why when we call about that, the new methodologies and new innovation taking place in that, because when you talk about, for instance, I'll give you a rough example. If you'd like to export something in Europe, per se, they have specific and very strict rules and regulations for to be able to export to such countries in there. So they actually monitor from the early production of your raw materials. You can imagine, and how these substances are being manufactured and then processed and then put into a byproduct, and then we have the final product end of the day. Very strict methodology and very strict rules in that area. So in order to being exposed to the international market, you need to talk their language. So you need to be very well prepared. Show me that you are eco-friendly. Show me that you are protecting against the waste. Show me that you have the safety regulation. Show me that you are not harming the environment. How about your carbon footprint and all these terminology. So all these elements were took into consideration with the new renovation for that. So the foundation is there. We start the production, being back to the market, being back to the local competitiveness. And the most important part, Hani would like to highlight, is the rebranding of Egypt right now. We have been leading a lot of industries, and people actually, they don't know that we are on ahead of many industries, but we don't know about them. So rebranding Egypt is one of the key elements in place. So how to look into the international level is the point for that.
Yes. Well, all these national mega projects, as you've mentioned, they really benefit the exportation sector, also the workforce, and these projects, including the Kima factory, offers a lot of new job opportunities. And the President also highlighted that it's not just about the inauguration and establishing these projects, but also the good governance that would provide job opportunities within the labor market, and also at the same time support the farmers and end corruption within the farming industry. Now, how is the good governance going to deal with the farming industry as well, and mainly not just offering job opportunities and supporting the farmers, but ending the corruption for such an important sector, not just for Egypt, but as you've mentioned, with the potential of exporting our products then the whole world?
Well, His Excellency, for the last period, always mentioning the word governance, the right governance, the good governance. When we talk about governance, then it, in a very simple way, how we have a process from end to end in order to ensure that we have a highly qualified end outcome. The outcome could be a product, could be a service, or it could be a mix between product or a service in such a place. So when it comes to the governance of the farming industry and the Ministry of Agriculture, actually, let's call back, there is a great project taking place in like for the last 5 years, in collaboration between the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Planning, as well as some of the banks, national banks in Egypt, and commercial banks as well. And they put that into the smart agriculture industry right now. So we need to move into mixing the technology with the agriculture business. So we started with the farmer card, and they have now more than 10 million cards in place. So this card will ensure, well, actually is ensuring right now a number of services that are catered for those small farmers. Okay, starting from getting your assigned portion of, for instance, fertilizers, tracking of your progress of your plants and the health for them, introducing new technological aspects as well, also incentivizing your production when you go to exporting, if you are planning to export this type of whatever cotton, or you can name it even, whatever type of crops you're going to plant, you're going to export that, then you're going to have some sort of incentive when it goes to exporting. And I will give you a quick example about having the appropriate governance in the area of agriculture. We all know that Egypt cotton is #1 in the world. And right now, due to some sort of bad governance for the last years, okay, we have been out of the national or the international competition in that area. And some other countries, I'm sad to say, that they took very small chunk of the Egyptian cotton and they mix it with other fibers and then resell it to the international market. This is an Egyptian cotton product. This transaction or this act was been witnessed, and then started to re-governing the whole cotton industry in Egypt right now. Starting from the seed till we reached the first part of the crops, till we export that into either wafers or canvases, or in a textile mode. So we are getting things back to normal, instead of having some other sort of frauds or some unethical hacks from other countries taking this type of Egyptian legacy part in the Egyptian cotton. In this particular part, you can extrapolate the model and see how this can be affecting different industries. Again, having this good governance, for instance, in the packaging industry per se. Packaging industry for such in the farming industry as well is presenting a very good chunk percentage of the success of exporting. I don't want to be exaggerating, but it's more than 25% of the exporting is in the packaging part component, the importancy. So introducing technological aspects in the packaging systems as well as this governance, the process, this will elevate again the numbers and the indicators for the exporting levels, even the local use as well, because everybody, he or she, deserves to have a decent type of food to eat and to move forward.
Yes, definitely. Well, Dr. Sami, moving on from the agricultural sector, going to the transportation one. Now, President Sisi inaugurated today in the Aswan railway station a lot of new locomotives and carts and carriages. Now, what is the significance of adding these cargoes and locomotives to the railway network and the station in Aswan? And because the railway sector in general and the transportation sector, going back and forth from Upper Egypt to Lower Egypt and the biggest cities, we used to have many sort of problems and issues with within this network. What is the significance of having the inauguration of these new locomotives and cargoes and carts, and also transforming them from being a manually driven and automated locomotives into an automatized one?
Definitely. We all know about the new transportation renovation system taking place in Egypt right now, starting from the high-speed train, the monorail in Great Cairo till the new administrative capital, and the new lines starting from goes from Sokhna till Al-Alamein, passing through different cities in its way. Again and again. So in order to ensure Haya Karima for each and every person, transportation is the key success for any cultural move from one city to another. If you like to build an economy, For instance, one of the key measures for the competitiveness on the global level is how far you have a decent transportation network and systems. Okay, we saw this in highways and roads, and railway network is extremely important because it has a multi-purpose usage in that direction. It can transport crops, raw materials, in exchanging the new cargo systems as well. Also passengers from to their local like villages or destinations. And the journey from one place to another, it took a lot of time, a lot of consumption of waste. So there was a need to create a speedy, highly professional, technologically monitored and governed network of a new machinery system. Therefore, the integration of the whole network coming in place. And when His Excellency inaugurated this in Aswan, this is a key message that Cairo is not taking anymore the blessing of having those technological aspects. No. So we have diversified. Kafr Sheikh is taking part in the area of artificial intelligence. Aswan is taking part in the new transportation system. So nobody is going to be left behind or going to be disconnected. So in order to be acquainted with a new technological aspects, then for the decision maker, in order to make the proper decision about the transport loads, for instance, the number of passengers moving back and forth through this type of network, having like a decent life for them, re-innovating their visual identity is extremely important as well, for instance, because we all deserve a decent life. So having this type of system, we saw a lot of accidents in the past years, like decades, always. Yes. There is almost every year there is an accident. Thanks God, 2021 was the very least amount of accident because the new integration system of the new railway network. Therefore, putting this in place, it's key signals and key messages that development is everywhere in this country, and for raising the awareness, raising the standard of living for everybody.
Yes. Well, the President also referred to the government really carrying a lot of the burden of sustaining low prices for tickets, for railway tickets. Now, how important is it that we raise the prices of the train tickets, and actually this should be helping diminish the losses of the budget of the Ministry of Transportation? How will this eventually, directly or indirectly, benefit the welfare of the Egyptian citizens?
It depends on the quality of service being conducted. And we recall his speech, he said, you need to increase the value of services if you want to raise the price of the ticket. Because there is nothing to say, with the same quality, you can raise the money, you can raise the price. Why? Why you should pay the difference? Nothing changed. So you have to raise the quality of service, better quality of service, okay, more ease of use, user-friendly. Not wasting your time in the ticket shops or something like that. Use the technological aspects. Let people feel and reflect those type of development on their basic lives. Therefore, increasing the amount of the ticket or the price of the ticket, it will come eventually with a value-added services that will again raise the awareness and the well-being of the Egyptian citizen in this particular area. Because we look at it as a lump sum. We have an expression which is called the total cost of ownership. So instead of paying bits and pieces and then the total lump sum is X, you can pay X plus delta or minus delta, which is a small amount, yet we have just one payment, but you receive a lot of value-added services from one place and from one-stop shop. This is the trend right now moving forward. So it's not just raising the ticket for the sake of raising the ticket, but it's going to save a lot of other underpinning payments that you don't witness it at the first place, but from the experience, the consumer behavior, they spend X amount here and X amount here and X amount there. So the total sum, again, if we put all these subsidies or sub-elements in one small amount increase, then we can subsidize all this rest of payments took place in a way or another.
Yes.
So it will come, but joined with or combined with more value-added services and list of services, respectable, sustainable for that. Okay? And it's all about, we need to think about sustainability in a way or another, because this is the key message about how we need to sustain our businesses, how we need to think in a different way to make more better services, more updated, more taking care of all the facilities, and the ownership as well is for everybody. So this is your own property, so you need to take care of that.
Yes. Well, what are the main challenges or the obstacles for the development of this transportation sector? Is it the know-how and the expertise and the training, for instance, on using the new technology of the locomotives? Is it the raising the quality of services being provided? Is it the financing aspect, because raising the quality of services and the machinery and the training needs a lot of financing? Is it the consumer behavior? Is it how the cultural aspect of the Egyptian citizen and how to deal with the transportation sector? And we're not just talking about trains and railways, but also public transportation, the buses, the cab drivers, all of these things. What are the main challenges and obstacles that would really pull us back in terms of taking this giant leap within the sector?
Okay. There is a great scientist, his name is Peter Drucker. He is the godfather of the modern management. And he had, I quote, he said, if you have a good strategy, so culture eats strategy for breakfast. So if you put a lot of emphasis in having amazing plans and amazing strategies, but you didn't touch the cultural issue, the humanitarian part in that, then all what you are doing is going to diminish sooner or later. Therefore, one of the key challenges is how to improve the culture. Okay? And the area of the traffic and transportation system, this is what we call the universal behavior. So the universal behavior right now, we started to monitor and to witness those type of signaling and type of systems installed in the different roads right now. So people started to build their own personal discipline. So lack of discipline is one of the key important part that we should take care about, and when it comes to that. Today in the morning I was in a visit in the National Capability and Competition Center. This is a government entity, and they were telling me that the story about that they have a new recruitment and new hiring plans for the railway projects. And the question was asked about that, are they drivers? You are interviewing and doing assessment for the drivers. They said, no, we are receiving a lot of engineers taking place. Can you imagine right now, because we are introducing a new technological components in the railway systems. So a new jobs will be created. Engineers from different sectors are started to recruit and started to be recruited actually in order to looking for having jobs in this a new magnificent system that will be in the technological based system in that way. So having the culture from inside out, from the culture from the side, the organization themselves.
Yes.
Okay, so the operators, they should take care of their properties. The users or the beneficiaries they should take care of that. And the good enough, if you right now visit the third line of the metro, you will see a complete major shift in creating this type of culture change. You will have like a very nice piece of music all around the stations. You will see a lot of signage and signs giving you instructions everywhere. guidelines. Okay, this is the green line, the green lane. This is, you can go upstairs and that. These are the sign for fine if you're doing this type of illegal acts. And this is, so it's all about educating your clients. So it's all about raising awareness. Okay, this are going how to create a sense of belonging and loyalty for such a property that we are going to put it in use.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are only two of the projects that were inaugurated today, but we've been witnessing a week for the development of Upper Egypt. Let's check out this report and we'll be right back.
Over the past few days, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated a number of development projects in Upper Egypt, including the new Aswan city, electricity and infrastructural projects, industrial complexes, access and roads, especially along the Nile River. President Sisi inaugurated on Tuesday Kima 2 factory for fertilizers production district in Aswan Governorate and inspected the Aswan railway station, where he inaugurated mobile units of various types of locomotives and carts. Earlier, the president witnessed the inauguration of electricity sector projects in Upper Egypt and inspected the Benban Solar Energy Complex in Aswan Governorate, where he inaugurated several energy projects in Upper Egypt via video conference. The new projects included converting the West Asyut Energy Station into a combined cycle system and establishing the Samalut Regional Control Center. President Sisi called for spreading digital electricity meters nationwide to avoid incorrect meter reading and to help citizens control consumption. In this context, the president stressed that the government will continue developing this sector, calling on the media to shed light on the state efforts in this regard. He pointed out that the Benban Solar Energy Complex is a wonderful project developed by the private sector and operated by the people of Upper Egypt. Total energy investments in Upper Egypt have exceeded £1 trillion since 2014. In Qina Governorate, the head of state inaugurated the road access with a length of 19 kilometers, linking the Eastern Desert Road with the Agriculture Road north of Samalut city in Minya. Other highways inaugurated were the Desert Road across the Nile River, Adli Mansour access in Beni Suef. The 14 road access were being constructed at a cost of £23.5 billion. The president opened industrial complexes in Luxor's Baghdadi, Beni Suef's Bayad al Arab, Minya's Matahra in Qina Governorate, and Hurghada of the Red Sea. In Asyut, the head of state inaugurated the Asyut Gasoline Production Complex, one of the state's strategic projects, which comes within the framework of state's plans to develop Upper Egypt. The complex aimed at securing gasoline supplies to the people of Upper Egypt governorates and saving the cost of gasoline transporting from the existing refineries in Cairo, Alexandria, and Suez to the various regions of Upper Egypt. El-Sisi also inaugurated via video conference the Toshka Sharq al-Awainet Road in southern Egypt with a total distance of 360 kilometers. The state has constructed 365 bridges and tunnels worth 50 billion Egyptian pounds in Upper Egypt, in addition to constructing 2,600 kilometers of roads and upgrading 4,000 kilometers of roads. Meanwhile, President Sisi inaugurated a number of land reclamation projects in Upper Egypt's Toshka, which is part of a major project dubbed Toshka al-Khair. During the inauguration ceremony, the president explained that the inability to continue the Toshka project in the past was due to funding shortage rather than the futility of the project, affirming that 60% of the Toshka land are Arab. He directed expediting efforts to reclaim planned hands under the Toshka project, saying the lands may produce about 500,000 tons of wheat. President Sisi said the engineering efforts in the Toshka project resemble the construction of the Aswan High Dam, which cost $500 million, blaming the state of the lack of media attention to these achievements. El-Sisi said the new cultivated lands could benefit up to 100,000 families, adding that all water used to cultivate the Sinai land is treated agriculture wastewater produced by the Bahr al-Bakar water treatment plant in the northern governorate of Port Said.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21 22 23 24 25 26 27 28 29 30 31 32 33 34 35 36 37 38 39 40 41 42 43 44 45 46 47 48 49 50 51 52 53 54 55 56 57 58 59 60 61 62 63 64 65 66 67 68 69 70 71 72 73 74 75 76 77 78 79 80 81 82 83 84 85 86 87 88 89 90 91 92 93 94 95 96 97 98 99 100 101 102 103 104 105 106 107 108 109 110 111 112 113 114 115 116 117 118 119 120 121 122 123 124 125 126 127 128 129 130 131 132 133 134 135 136 137 138 139 140 141 142 143 144 145 146 147 148 149 150 151 152 153 154 155 156 157 1 الصعيد دول زينة بلادنا، الإرادة من حديد اتباهوا بولادنا، هم دول آملنا جيلنا قد المسؤولية، ناس بتبني وناس بترسم الخطوة اللي جاية.
كل التحية والتقدير لأهالينا بصفة خاصة في الصعيد. احنا أسرة واحدة، كلنا واحد، محدش يقول انت وانا، احنا.
الخطوة اللي جاية بيقولوا الكلمة بعزم وهمة وهم ظهر مصر، رجالة ولاد رجالة وياما ضحوا في ده مصر، طلع البنت الصعيدية.
ما نفعله في بلدنا هو محاولة لتعويض ما فاتنا، وما افتكرش ان في حد بيكون هدفه الإصلاح والبناء والتنمية إلا ما ربنا سبحانه وتعالى بيسدد خطاه. البلد دي هتقوم بينا كلنا، بفهمنا كلنا، وبإيدينا كلنا مع بعضنا.
شباب أهل الصعيد وزينة بلادنا، الإرادة من حديد اتباهوا ولادنا، هم دول آملنا جيلنا قد المسؤولية، ناس بتبني وناس بترسم الخطوة اللي جاية.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Sami. Now, sir, you've been referring to transforming the Keema factory to be generated by natural gas, talking about ending the problem of disposing the wastewater in the Nile River. We've also, over the past week, we've seen the inauguration of the Binben solar energy, which produces about 90% electricity of the high dam as much. Now, we're talking about seriously being an energy hub within the Middle East and the African continent, and also really working on cutting down on our carbon footprint, really being worthy of named as a host for the COP27 summit that will be hosted in 2022. How big of a leap are these changes within the sustainable development and sustainable environment and sustainable energy for Egypt?
Perfect. Sustainability and having a responsible use of resources are the most important part that we need if you would like to build up any economical process in the city. If you are asking to move into the era of technology, then technology needs energy. So how to facilitate all this type of energy resources without diversifying? Again, the Vision 2030, we have diversified. So the diversification, it comes from this part. So Binban right now is just not only the 90% of the high dam energy level of energy, but it is actually the largest farm of the solar energy in the world. Mm-hmm. So right now, from a place where you cannot find it on the map, till a point of presence right now, which is the hub of the solar energy in the world. And this will be able to move us to a new era of technological development and owning the technology, which is the most important part. How we can own the technology of the solar panels and solar panels creation. And let me call right now in the Academy of Scientific Research and Technology, they have the first solar panel factory in Sohag, by the way, in a very nice small island called Karaman. Okay, they have this factory. They not just only assembling the plates and the wafers and so on. No, they create them from scratch. So this is the most important part, that we need to move into owning the technology in this area, and this will open up an area for new jobs, new specialities, also introducing a new era of utilizing the technology in a different way. From ICT, information and communication technology, having this type of electrical cars, per instance, per se, moving to smart buildings, diversifying, not just only we can export. For instance, if we diffuse the use of the panel, of the sun, of the solar panel in houses, for say, you are not just only going to pay for the electricity bill, but you are going to recharge the government or maybe your neighbors. The whole economical model is going to change with this type of new systems and having this excess of energy. And if you call back a couple of days ago, the agreement between Egypt and Cyprus and Greece about exchanging part of that was exchanging energy and that level. So this is a new era for leading for the technological development, how we can utilize the proper resources of energy and energy resources.
Okay, sir, because we're running out of time, but one final question now. We are witnessing the development taking place in Cairo, Alexandria, Lower Egypt, and now Upper Egypt, and also the Sinai Peninsula. We're witnessing development taking place all over. 2022 is less than a week from now. Now, what should we be expecting? What areas should we be expecting development to be witnessed there?
Okay. Agribusiness is taking place a lot in Siwa per se, in some of the dates products. Health tech is coming in this way. Logistics and smart logistics is doing this. And on the top of that, Digital Egypt and the new services are going to be inaugurated in 2022, inshallah.
Yes. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've witnessed a lot of achievements up until today as well during 2021. And hopefully, as Dr. Sami has mentioned, still there's a lot to look forward to in 2022. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Nezar Sami, the Innovation and Technology Consultant. Dr. Sami, always a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you and Happy New Year, Hani.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Hani Saif. Thank you for joining us.